Okay, so this is specifically for those of you who have not seen or played the Battlefield 5 beta yet, and wondering how things work and my opinions on them. So, right now you've got a couple different basic options, just like basically like the BF1 home screen. This menu right here just tells you some couple interesting things, not kind of a news feed, but not really. It's just some stuff they may or may not want you to know about. Trying to sell you things, obviously, trying to make you pre-order, all this stuff. But eventually, once the game get launched, it'll be just like BF1's homepage. So the active event will normally be displayed there. Right now, it's the Tides of War shock troops, which we'll get into later. But first, let's go over the menu. So you go down here to more options, and you got 4 different options. Video, obviously, pretty standard stuff there. Audio, there's a couple notable things about audio. For one, in-game announcer. Turn that baby on and set it to native if you want to be cool. Default just means that it'll be the normal, regular, oh, hello, objective alpha's being taken, blah, blah, blah. But if you set it to native, it'll be in the accent of whichever faction you're playing as. So British, German, American, French, it doesn't really matter. Whichever faction you are, the announcer's voice will be in that accent. It's just, another realistic thing they added, which is kind of cool. And then you go to your sound presets. Sound presets are very, very important. And they are important because headphones and footsteps. So, normally, you'll start off the default, I think, will be headphones. But headphones, in this sense, is just things like the mono mic and earpiece that comes with the box PS4. But there's also options like large speakers if you're just playing out of your TV, medium, small speakers, war tapes. War tapes I've never understood, but they're there, so go have fun, I guess. But the thing you really want, if you actually have a headset, and like playing with footsteps, is 3D audio for headphones, which means you can actually hear which directions bullets are coming from, which directions footsteps are coming from. So if you have a headset, this is a must-have to turn it to 3D audio for headphones. Must-have. Can't stress that enough. It's actually really super important. Gameplay. You have HUD on by default, player created content on by default, chat log. As with BF1, you've got when active, hide, show. So I usually just have it on when active so it's not constantly in my way. Magnify chat, you can if you want, but it's not really necessary seeing as the chat's pretty darn big anyway. Inventory, I always have mine showing, especially with a new game like this where I'm trying to get used to things. I always have it showing just to remember what things are in what places. Crosshair visibility is at 100% default, and then comes the fun stuff. The fun stuff is amazing. It's actually really fun. So I've got my crosshair set to yellow right now because that is very, very easy to stick out. Right now the only things that are actually yellow in the game are a couple of painted houses and maybe the glint of sun off of a random wall in Rotterdam. With the 2 maps you have now, yellow is a pretty solid color if you just want it to be visible. Kill log, obviously I like that on, but once again you can have the filter of all, team, squad, self, or nearby. For reasons, I just use all. And then, a fun little thing, they've added options for the kill log weapon. So you can choose if you want to see what icon shape the gun someone was killed by, or the name of the gun, or you can do the icon and the name. So it'll say player X killed player Y using a picture and the name of the weapon, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I just keep it on icon and name. Awards, vehicle seat info, blah 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 blah. Hit indicator visibility, please keep this on 100. So important, as you well know. And then here comes some fun with colors, which is really nice. So hit colors, I've got mine set to red, again because snow maps and a city map, red shows up pretty easy. Kill color, pretty fun. I just like
the happiness of green when someone dies is pretty fun. But what really makes me visually happy is I've got the headshot color at a bright purple. So the way this works is, if you're sniping or something and you get a headshot, the hit marker itself does not show as purple. It shows as green because you killed someone. The purple shows up when it says, hey, player X has been killed with the headshot using this weapon. And the text is in bright purple, and it's really satisfying. I don't know what it is, but purple's really satisfying. Damage-based shape, obviously you want that on. And then the armor hit indicator color is a pale yellow. And just, you know, for the sake of the fact that why not be different. Textures, rotate with view. Always want that on. Flight zoom radius. This is something weird because the planes are not at all like they were in BF1. First off, it's an all-metal body, so there's no tail flap, which I found out the hard way, very hard way. There's no tail flap, so all of your flying maneuverability from BF1, you have to reset and think about it differently. It is not at all the same kind of flying mechanics, so do with that what you will. The vehicle zoom radius, you might as well just keep it at 100. There's not really much change there. On foot, same minimap size. I like mine at 150, but it's not bad. Yeah, all the opacities, obviously I just have them all at 100. Why not? And then advanced, there's not really much difference here than what you've already had. You got your auto leaning peek over, parachute auto deploy, which, you know, I have off anyway, but sometimes it just doesn't work, so. Context-based auto gaming. Yeah, you guys get the gist. Y'all know what these are. So, then going to controls. This is the actual bit where it gets kind of important. Vibration on instantly. If you are a pilot, if you like to actually be able to fly your thing where you want it to go, invert vertical flight, please, for the love of everything, invert that so hard. It took me like 10 minutes to find this setting, even though it's on the first page. I was just so stressed out, I glossed over it. But the thing that really screws you over, sensitivity. Sensitivity in this game is jacked. I mean jacked to the sky. Stick sensitivity for a soldier, it's a little faster than usual, but I like playing at 60 and I'll get used to it eventually. The thing that'll really fuck with you though, vehicle stick sensitivity. You want that shit down, 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 because it is amazingly fast. A 60 on a vehicle stick is so much different than a soldier stick, because you're looking through a viewport, and because while you're looking around inside of a tank, if you're on the main battle turret, it does not follow immediately with the gun. Your view and the gun are not synced. You can look where you want, as fast as you want, but it's like War Thunder's aiming system where you have to look somewhere and wait for the turret to catch up. The turrets are pretty slow. So having your vehicle stick sensitivity low will kind of help mitigate that time in between aiming and the gun actually catching up. If you can't go that fast in the first place, you're not really going to miss much. Soldier zoom sensitivity, I like mine a little higher than average just for the reason. The other ones are pretty standard. Vehicle weapon zoom, I always like mine on toggle, because if I'm going to sit there and look down an alley for forever, it's not the same as putting a gun up to your eye and just holding the trigger there while it's up to your eye, because while you're holding a gun to your face, you're going to be moving that gun an awful darn lot. You really need to move it all the time, so holding makes sense. With a vehicle weapon zoom, you're in an armored vehicle, you're not constantly switching weapons, you're not constantly trying to peek around corners, so toggle is okay, and I kind of like that. Steady scope, that's just your preference based on your sniping. Now, the other bit with flying. All the other sticks I have at default. They're perfectly fine. Air vehicle sticks. If you like BF1's flying style, I would highly recommend the Legacy Southpaw. It's not quite the same. Not quite, but it's the most similar I've found out of the 4 options. Got default Southpaw, Legacy, and Legacy Southpaw. I like Legacy Southpaw because that's the closest thing to what I played on BF1. But again, it is not the exact same, so you'll still have some adjustment when flying. And then here's just my options for this if you really care. I'm not going to go through and look at them individually, but there you go. Excuse the yawning, please. Okay, now, what I do actually like to mention is, if you like fast triggers must have controller L2R2, turn the max input thresholds down to 5. 5 is the minimum. That means you have to put 5% trigger force into pulling the trigger versus full trigger pull, saving you a couple milliseconds between the time it takes to completely press the trigger and the time it takes to press it 5% of the way. So you can definitely tap a lot faster. If you're tap firing with a machine gun or something, you want the 5% max input threshold, so it's just barely a flicker. The zoom sensitivity, you can mess with however you want. Figure out for yourself, okay, what magnifications of the scopes I'm going to use most often. Leave the rest at the standard, but only use modify the ones that you use most often. So you're definitely going to have your 10 because the binoculars for the scout class are going to be at 10 magnifications, so you can have that a little higher. Same thing with the 5 times zoom. You're going to use that a little bit. And then, surprisingly, the medium range scopes are somewhere between 250 and 350. I can't quite figure out yet which they actually are, but I'm sure we will eventually, so I'm actually going to turn those up a little now. Because as I was messing with the machine guns with the medium scope, it was not nearly as fast as I thought it should be, so I'm actually going to turn these up. And if you play with medium scope, mess around with the 250 to 350 range until you find out exactly which one it is, and then you can go change just that one if you want. But definitely have your 2 times up a little higher in your 250 because that's going to be your iron sights. So definitely have those sensitivities up a little. That way it has it down to 100 for default, but that's the same as when you're looking just hip fire. If you're actually scoped in, you want to have your zoom sensitivity a little bit higher because your hip fire and your base scoped in sensitivities are different. So you'll definitely notice a difference if you don't change these values from when you're hip firing and when you're scoping in. So I would recommend turning all your zoom sensitivities that you're going to use on your scopes up to about 120, and that makes it feel a lot less different between hip fire and scoping in. So that would be my recommendation. For the vehicle sensitivity and the turret sensitivity, I turned I turned those all the way to 150 because again, the turrets are extremely slow and you just don't have time, honestly. You don't have time to freaking drag a field gun into position and try to aim that thing back and forth. Just turn that sensitivity up. Save yourself the time. It'll be a lot more like holding a rifle, trust me. And that's it for the options page. Now on to the actual cool stuff. The actual cool stuff being, assignments are pretty cool. You have special assignments, and this is neat because you can track your assignments now. So I'm tracking right now the basic assault class training, and after you complete assignments, it actually gives you scraps too. So scraps will unlock different skins and different skill features for your weapons. So you can actually track different assignments at the same time. Conquest assignment, you can read there on the right hand side what the objectives are, and it's complete one less than the number of them there are. Some of them have different values like 5, 2. You can complete one of those, which is pretty darn easy. Kill 20 enemies on one round or damage enemies for 1,000 points. You'll get that pretty easy. It's just whichever ones you want to track, and then once you complete them, you can go back and track more. So it's pretty nice. Yeah. Let's just go open beta assignment. What's this? Oh yeah, you definitely want to track this one if you're actually going to play it before the 11th when it closes. So definitely track the open beta assignment. You'll want that. You really do. And that one, yeah, we'll just go for that. But, oh, crap. Daily orders. Daily orders is really nice because not only does it give you scrap, but it's like on BF1, the road to Battlefield 5, how it would give you small, easy daily objectives, and it would give you scrap for it. So it's nice to finally have something to work for every day. Even if it's a simple task, it's at least something to work for every day to make it a little bit more interesting. So that's really cool as well that they added dailies. And of course, you'll see it refreshes every day. It's got a time counter of when it refreshes. So it's pretty cool. Your armory is basically your store. Your armory is where you go to get all these wonderful things. So right now it's got featured these ones because these are the ones it expects people to want the most right off the bat. And what you really want though is your weapons and vehicles tabs because those are going to be more specific instead of just the meta that they're trying to push. So right now you only have 2 handguns, the P38 pistol, which Drew thinks I was correct about, and the Ruby. And they're okay. As you can see, they're basically the same stats. There's not much difference besides the ammo and the fire rate, but other than that, the actual stats are not that different. Melee right now, you've got a couple different ones. You've got some classics from BF1 like the hatchet, club, shovel, pickaxe, and the kukri. Those are all just about the same thing as from BF1. They didn't really change them much. They didn't really reskin them. They look almost exactly the same as you'll see. The one thing they did add though, as of the beta, is the British Jack Army knife, obviously, because it's Britain, and they had those. So you can get the British Army jackknife and the kukri at level 1, but as you'll see, the others are level blocked, so you'll have to go get those on your own. And then you will level up your own weapons. So as you become more proficient with a weapon, you gain more weapon specific upgrades for it. So as you'll see, the FG42, which people are saying is a god weapon right now, and the M30 drilling, which is the shotgun with a tertiary rifle barrel, are level locked, so you have to reach a certain level to get those. But the Bren gun, I think, is like a level 3, so it's pretty easy to get to. And the KE7 is your default LMG for the support class, which I've been playing mostly support round. So I'm kind of getting used to it. But once you do get the Bren is actually a really, really good gun, so I would suggest it. But you'll see right above the KE7 icon, you'll see a number inside a circle with a little progress bar. That shows your proficiency with it. Once you reach proficiency level 5, you can have all the skill tree upgrades. So we'll go get visuals here. You can get any visuals you want. These are just skins for different components of each weapon. As you can see, it'll change the rear grip there. It'll change the muzzle. That's kind of cool because it looks like a exploded shell casing. But it'll just be, these are all cosmetics. The thing that actually matters though is the sights. So I would not waste your scrap on cosmetics at all until you're sure you have everything you want. And go straight for the sights. So you'll look here, the iron sight, that's just 2 different skins. So pick one, save your scrap, and get another one for another gun. But things like the Night Ops iron sight, you'll see is different. That's because it's the AA sights for this gun, but with a Night Ops camo. So pay attention to things like that. Pay attention to which ones are just a painted reskin and which ones actually affect your gameplay, because the AA sights will affect your gameplay versus the iron sights with a different skin on them. So only buy one type of sight at a time because that actually matters. Do not waste your money on the skins until you have the sights you want. Nothing else matters. None of these other things matter. They're just cosmetics. You can go to the different actual subclasses of weapons. So you've got the LMGs, and the shotguns, which is pretty nice if you're just trying to work on one type of weapon or another. It's pretty handy. And of course they're going to add more weapons to the game after the beta is done, so you'll see more types of shotguns and more types of LMGs. Okay. And I'd love to show you how that works, but I guess I'll just go here for now. Vehicles. You can check out your wonderful, wonderful vehicles here. So you'll start out by buying, or you'll have the Valentine Mark 8 free for the Allies, and for the Axis you'll have the Panzer 4 free. But you'll have to unlock the Tiger and the 2 Churchills. So it just depends on how fast you rank up. Same thing with airplanes. You've got a limited number. You got 2 versions of the Spitfire, which aren't really all that different, but hey. And yeah, so you've got a fighter variant there, and I assume that's in the tank variant. And then the bomber. And same thing with the Axis. You've just got different planes. So once you've bought everything in the armory, then you can go to your company, and the company is a bit lacking right now because it is the beta. They did not add in customization for the actual physical soldier, but you can go in and mess with your loadouts here. So I'm hoping on full release, like they said, you'll be able to have certain assigned roles. So you can have 3 types of assaults or something, or 2 types of supports that you like. So you can customize them to the maps you're playing, or just to your playstyle for different maps. But you'll see up here, combat roles. They are going to add different combat roles, different specializations, and different ways that they play. So the Grenadier, if you look at the bottom there, it has the trait Battle Hardened. You regen a larger amount of health than other combat roles. That's pretty cool. Starting gadgets are Grenade Rifle and Sticky Dynamite. Sticky Dynamite's kind of underpowered, honestly, but you'll also see that available weapons, it actually tells you which ones are available for that class instead of you having to guess. Assault rifles and semi-auto rifles are the only ones you can use with the assault class. But me personally, I don't like assault too much. I like the scout and support. So we'll go look at the combat roles. The engineer, its trait is the fortifications expert. You will build things so much faster if you're an engineer than if you will any other class, because the building tools only take 3 ticks to build something if you're an engineer subclass, which is fantastic because they actually do take a really long time to build if you're any other class. And now we go for the actual proficiency. So you'll see with the Bren gun right now, I have 0 proficiency, but I'm working on it. And where you get that proficiency is upgrades. So on the upgrades tree, you'll see your scrap up there in the top right corner. And with this, each associated trait, it'll have a price. As you can see by the gray lines connecting these traits, you have to pick one side of the tree or another. You cannot have all of these perks at the same time. So normally the first and second will be pretty basic. Quick aim, or fast bullets, or just something in general to make the gun a slight bit better. Then you go into the actual specializations and you choose how this gun performs on one of the 2 trees. So for this per se, you've got quick reload, quick deploy, and less vertical recoil. That one's focused on fast moving, high action, not really camping. Versus improved stationary accuracy, less horizontal recoil, and improved bipod. So if you're going to be camping, you want to use the right side for defensive mode. If you're going to go on the attack, you want to use the left skill tree. And then between the 2, you can either pick for the left tree, less vertical recoil, or faster movement while aiming. So that fits the active combat style. Or for the right tree, you can also pick faster movement while aiming, or improved bipod. So it really depends on your personal playstyle, and like I said, with the ability to customize more than one soldier,
of that class, you can have different loadouts set up for defense or run and gun or whatever on earth you want. And I need to actually unlock that first. Yeah, and then once you've actually got that, you can go into your customizations, and this is where you actually fix things on the gun versus just buying them in the armory. So, your sights, it shows you the sights that you have by giving you a solid black background to that text. So the default iron sight, as you'll see, has a solid black background versus the ones I do not have unlocked yet. You can still translucently see the background of the game through. But if I go down to... Actually, I don't have anything unlocked for this one yet. Let's go... I switched this out, actually, I forgot. Oh, more weapons. Yeah, so you'll go to more weapons if you want to select a different weapon. I don't know why I have 2 Bren guns, don't ask. But say I want to go to the KE7, which I actually have some equipment for. So I'll go to customize that. And there we go. So you'll see default iron sight is clear white letters with a black background. Translucent, and I have the Night Ops iron sight. So it'll show up as a solid black background with bright white words. So you can tell which ones you have and which ones you don't have yet pretty easily. And of course it'll have a check mark to tell you which ones you have equipped. So it's a handy little feature to tell you what you've collected so far and what you haven't. And then moving on to cosmetics, it's the same thing as far as which ones you have and which ones you don't. But like I said, despite the fact that these are all visually different, say you've got a muzzle brake there, and what is this? Just like a blunderbuss kind of a thing there. The muzzles don't affect it. They're not like suppressors. They don't affect your gameplay at all besides how it looks. Same thing with exactly every other factor. You've got leaves, but that doesn't actually affect much. You've got receivers, which is the body of it, for those of you who don't know. So you'll see it switches between full body being brown and just the receiver sprayed green. But of course you can have the same skins for the entire gun, so you can make them all one camo if you want, or if you want to be different, you can have multiple different pieces with multiple different camo combinations. So it adds a little bit more fun to that part. And right now, like I said, the sidearms you only have 2, so it doesn't really matter which one you pick, honestly. Just your difference between control and rate of fire and mag size. Excuse me for the yawning once again. I missed something. Okay, so melees, you can choose whichever melee you want here. Obviously the list will grow with time. And grenades, you only have a couple grenades right now. You have the frags, you have the incendiaries, and for some reason the medics have smokes, which apparently none of the other classes can use. But right now, most of the time, you'll stick with incendiaries or frags. Pro tip: frags bounce. Frags bounce like they should. You'd expect them to. Incendiaries, on the other hand, are not like they were in BF1. They do not ricochet. These incendiaries are Molotov cocktails. Wherever you throw them, they will explode on contact. They will stay there, and they will burn you. I figured this out the hard way when I tried to ricochet one off a wall, and it exploded instantly. The shockwave threw me back against the wall and killed me with my own grenade. So do not try to ricochet the incendiaries, they won't work. Frags will ricochet. And for the gadgets, the support is stuck having at least the medic pouch, so you can always resupply people, or you can choose between the bouncing Betty bomb, which is basically your tripwires, which is a nice feature because it kind of brings back the claymores from BF4, with the supports being able to lay claymores as well as the scouts. Or you can go with the ammo crate, and there is also the anti-tank mine. So I do not believe the assault has the anti-tank mine yet, but it is kind of a neat feature that the supports have something in mind for AT. So with that said, there's a couple different tricks to the ammo as well. Ammo crates. When you spawn, you have 1. You can only put down 1 ammo crate per life. It does not come back. Like BF1, it does not come back. So, wherever you place that sucker, you better be darn sure you're in a populated area and ready to camp. Because once someone starts using that crate, once someone opens it to resupply themselves, it has a timer. I think it's about a 10-second timer. It goes down and down and down from the second someone starts using it. So it'll stay there until someone starts using it. It'll be totally fine. But you have to walk up to the crate and hold square to interact with it to actually pull ammo out of the box. That's part of one of the animations they did. And that also prevents area resupplies, so no more giant healing and resupply stations like BF1 where you can just set a couple boxes down and have everybody resupplied and healed. You have to go to it and manually interact, which brings down that spam. And with the pouches, you cannot change the pouches, but there is a trick. You can throw them to teammates by spotting them, of course, within range. You can also hit the left D-pad to throw a pouch to someone. But if you want to resupply yourself, you have to hold the left D-pad and it'll actually tell you when it's consumed one, because you'll start out with 3 for yourself, but you can infinitely supply allies. But you'll start with 3 for yourself, so if you want more ammo, you have to go back to an ammo station after that. But you can resupply yourself. And right now, as you'll see, I try to go down. Change your appearance is not active yet because it's a beta and they didn't want to confuse people with more options. And so that's basically it right there. You've got your different classes, you've got your different vehicles, and your different kinds of planes. Now, your company. I've just explained that. Screw it. Who wants to see some gameplay? I do. I'm gonna go play real quick. So, you can see on the side there, you've got your objectives on the right hand side, your special assignments are being tracked, and while you're selecting them, you can actually just go through and see them all right there. So, shock troops. Let's go play that for the sake of the fact that, oh look, I can get a dog tag soon. So, this is really just for the beta players. If you accomplish all 5 of these tasks, you will get a limited edition Tides of War beta dog tag that no one else will have. And they're pretty simple. Win 1 grand operation. Capture 2 points at Rotterdam. It's very simple stuff. So I'm gonna go try to win a grand operation. Go ahead and hit trending. Right now there's only 2 modes you can play for the beta, Grand Operations and Conquest. Grand Operations is not at all like Operations in BF1. For one, it operates on days, not... That's great. Operates on days, not battalions. So, you have a single day to try to gain the first objective. You have a single day to get the second objective. And instead of sectors, like you would on BF1, the maps are huge. So, you'll push up sector by sector by sector to win day 1. And if you win day 1, you move on to day 2. Day 2, you fight sector by sector by sector by sector until you hit day 3. So, day 3, you fight sector by sector and you get it. I think the maximum amount of days is 4 days for a Grand Operations campaign. So it's basically having 4 maps of operations in a row, each of them with different objectives. It's very, very confusing at first. Also, the matchmaking is extremely slow at the moment. For some reason, they just are not good at fighting matches. Whether you're solo, whether you're in a squad, it's not good. Hey, so I tried to get into a match there. It took forever, as you'll see. Matchmaking failed. That's because I'm stupid. It doesn't actually, the button doesn't make a difference visually whether you've tapped it or not. So just tap it once and it'll pop up with the timer. That timer is kind of annoying. As you see there, it just popped up, popped away because I was hitting buttons and didn't work. But yeah, So thank you for watching this video. Hope it helped explain a couple of things, and maybe I'll see you on the battlefield someday. Thanks for watching.